Coming home to find this on your front door sucks. And to be honest with you, it probably makes you feel like the world is falling apart and that there's no other options. But are there? Well, before we figure that out, we gotta go back a little bit. Now, foreclosure is when you don't make your monthly payments to the mortgage company and they end up seizing your house. Kind of like if you don't make payments on your car and it repos. But unlike your car, where if it gets repossessed, it kind of sucks. They take your house, where are you gonna live? Now, what prevents somebody from being able to pay their mortgage? Things like the loss of a breadwinner for the house, or like a family death, or crazy medical emergencies that leave you piled up with unbelievable large amount of medical debt, to inflation or loss of your job. However, in today's economy, I think there's a couple specific reasons that people are struggling when it comes to being able to make their monthly payments. When the options for less pricey things in life like fast food or Chick-fil-A can cost upwards of $10+, no wonder people are struggling nowadays. The thing is, it's not just when you go to fast food, it's when you go to your local supermarket as well. Whether it's getting things like food, home goods, medical supplies, things for your kids, it's all increased exponentially, making it much harder for people to have enough money at the end of the month to cover all of their expenses. And now if you combined the cost of increased goods along with somebody losing their job, you now have a perfect storm in which somebody can't afford to make all their payments, and it's not like it's only a couple $100 a month. Typically, mortgages, we're talking thousands. And sure, you can go to places like Indeed.com or Monster to try to get a new job, or even go to your local state service center, but even then, it's still hard to find employment where you make enough in order to pay off all your expenses. Now, you might be asking yourself, why don't they just man up? They suck it up and do what they got to do to get through the situation. Tragically, it's a bit more complicated than that. You see, when somebody faces foreclosure, usually there's some stress and shame associated with it in the very beginning. You add on there the financial problems that's obviously going on in their life, and then you put on not knowing what your options are, and you're already overflowing. Let's not even add the fact that most of the time, the bank's gonna want you to resolve this in less than 90 days. And they'll continue to harass you and bug you until either you found a way to resolve it or they take your house. That's a lot to deal with. And that might be you right now. You're facing foreclosure and you could be thinking, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. This is too much stress. Let me just pack up and go. What I'd say is there's 3 main reasons you shouldn't do that. First, if you allow it to go into foreclosure, it can affect your future. Your ability to buy a house anytime in the future. It can affect your employment because some employers do look at that history and might not allow you to be hired at that specific job. Number 2, there's a good chance if you bought your house 3+ years ago, you likely have equity in the house, and if you just let it go to foreclosure, you're gonna be giving that equity to the bank. That's money that should be in your pocket to make your future better. And then last but not least, if you let it go into foreclosure, you're letting somebody else dictate your future. To be honest, fuck that. You are in control. You go make things happen. Now, if you're facing foreclosure, what options do you have at the end of the day? Well, it's going to depend on when you get started in this process, whether it's already been foreclosed on or you're starting to feel the financial strain in your life. The first thing you can do is actually reach out to the mortgage company and have a conversation with them. Avoiding them at the end of the day isn't going to help you, and being more upfront, transparent about what's going on in your life can make things easier, especially if you expect to get out of this financial hole you are in now sooner than later. They'll be more willing to work with you, and that's kind of the goal at the end of the day. They're not our enemy, they're just a colleague in this. And here's a pro tip. If you know you're getting into a financial situation where you might not make a payment, just call and let your bank know ahead of time, because either then or when you're late on payment, they're gonna give you a call and they're gonna advise you what programs they have available inside their company in order to help you get past this. Sometimes they'll let you defer the payment, sometimes they're willing to forgive it, but you don't know until you ask, so go do that. Another great option is to reach out to your local housing authority. Here in the state of Delaware, they have a program available where if you're approved, the state will actually pay your missed mortgage payments for you in terms of a second loan. So you still owe them money back, but it could give you the breathing room needed in order for you to keep your house and get past this financial situation that's going on in your life. It might also make sense for you to speak to a financial advisor so they can take a peek at all your books and see what options you have as far as potentially eliminating recurring debt, like those monthly subscriptions, potentially refinancing your car so you have a lower monthly payment, or other options. You need people around you to help support you through the situation, and having somebody like that can be super helpful, both now and in the future. At the end of the day, though, if those solutions don't work, your best option may be selling, and here's why. That house you spent a lot of money on and you've been making monthly payments on likely has a lot of equity in it, which means you could sell that house, pay off your mortgage, and have funds remaining over. That means you could do things like pay an entire year of rent up front while you get yourself into a better situation, pay off your car, pay off your credit cards, or potentially just go buy another house. One thing I do want to emphasize, though, is having that conversation sooner than later. The reason being is if you do end up selling, it is better to get that process started now than later, because the longer you wait, the worse position you put yourself in. You see, if you are going into foreclosure and it does get foreclosed on, you're going to owe more fees to that mortgage company, which means your walk away amount may be less or not at all. And we don't want that at the end of the day. We want to put you into the best position possible. Another reason to have that conversation sooner than later is so we can avoid a short sale. That is when you owe more on your mortgage than what your house can get sold for. And typically when the house is in the foreclosure process, you need to get sold ASAP, so you'll likely end up selling it below its actual value, and you could owe money to the bank even after this is all said and done. And again, we don't want that. We want to put you into the best financial situation possible. At the end of the day, nobody wants to face foreclosure, and it can definitely be a stressful situation, but there is hope if you take charge of the situation and know what options you have. So if you're potentially facing that or in the middle of foreclosure, at least here in the state of Delaware, you can reach out to me. My contact information is below. More than happy to have a conversation and let you know what options you have for your unique situation. And if you're outside of the state of Delaware, feel free to reach out as well. I can get you in touch with a local agent that I trust that can help you, just like if I was the one there to help guide you as well.